dismissed.
stand for his worshipful, the Mayor of Macclesfield, Councillor James Barber Chadwick.
Thank you. Please be seated, everyone. Welcome everyone to tonight's full council meeting of Macclesfield Town Council. It's quite a long agenda, so we will try and get through it as quick as we can, but we've got a lot of really important things to get through tonight. So I'll go straight to item 1 and apologies for absence. Thank you very much. And do we have any declarations of interest? Councillor Bennett Waite.
I'm a trustee of assistance advice, which is next on the agenda.
Thank you. Any other conflict of interest? No. Thank you very much. So we'll move straight to item 3, which is to receive written applications for the office of Town Councillor. So we have had a vacancy for Macclesfield Central Ward and we've had 3 applicants. So they are Claire Isley, Dave Roberts and Chris Kendrew. Each speaker will be invited to address the council and you'll all get 5 minutes each. The town clerk will time each of you and put your hand up when you've reached your time limit. So if we're ready, I would like to invite Claire Isley to give the first address. Okay. That's fine. In that case, I'll move on to Dave Roberts. Cool.
First of all, I'm Dave Roberts. I want to first of all say thank you for inviting me to this meeting. I'm really looking forward to giving you a little short presentation on what I can do for Macclesfield Town Council. The first thing I want to say to you is I have been on the parish council in Goose Street. I really enjoyed that time because involved with the community and also on the planning group. So I was reviewing all the plans coming in that affected Goose Street and surrounding areas from Cheshire East. The reason I've cited that is I believe my experience on that council will be useful for this council. I've been looking at some of the issues that are going on around Macclesfield, and the first I want to raise is the flowers and compliment the council on the flower things on the railings around town. What I wanted to say as an addition to that, flowers in the town centre are few and far between, and this is one of my suggestions I put in my write-up, is that Altrincham have got a wonderful seat planter arrangement, and they really do stand out, being very good. The other thing, of course, in Macclesfield, we've got a lot of empty shops. I talk to my friends and they say Macclesfield is dying, and that's because of obviously Barracks Mill, White Green, and all the other outlets, and of course Amazon, that's the big one. How we address that, I can't really say, but I did actually talk to the new manager of the Grosvenor Centre, and rates are not, that's not a place to go. Rents, that was one that we discussed, and they're actually getting a new person into the Grosvenor Centre, and they've reduced the rents to attract that person in, and that's going ahead. The other thing I want to raise is communication. I find this is very important from my role when I was working. Communication is two-way, and I think it's very important that, yes, the council presents information, but it's also important that the people in Macclesfield do the same. And David Edwards, obviously, is the Tillingson ward. He has a sit outside the Nissa regularly, and suffers the weather at times. So I think that's one of my key points to raise. And with that, I'll close. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. So, yeah. Do we have any questions that anyone would like to ask Dave at all from members? A-list?
Sorry, can you repeat that? It's hard to hear at the moment.
But she was asking what kind of communication.
What kind of communication?
Um,
What is the pattern of communication you expect to employ?
I believe in one-to-one communication for certain things, but I also believe obviously there's a bigger picture, so that would be paper, obviously technology is advancing. One thing I actually will raise here, Tim Rocker has recently issued a newsletter, and that's been delivered all around Macclesfield, and that was really, really good. And I think that would be a mechanism for the town council to, once a month, or maybe once every 6 weeks, just to tell everybody what this council is doing, because I think at times it's a bit missing. Okay?
Councillor Edwards.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can I just point out, you mentioned mine there, you see the outside pizza. Could I point out that every week my sidekick here, Emma Gilman, is also there, who is a fellow councillor, and we sit there together. So she might have popped in to buy a lottery ticket or something, which you called round, but...
And not one yet.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Edwards. Are there any other questions that anyone's got? No? Okay, in that case, thank you, Dave. I will now invite Chris Kendrew to address the council. Similarly, you'll have 5 minutes, and the town clerk will put her hand up when the 5 minutes is up.
Okay, thanks for inviting me. My name's Chris Kendrew. Grew up in Macclesfield, went to King's a long time ago. It's actually the year above Nick Mannion, actually. But went down to London in 2000, but brought my family back to Macclesfield went down to London in 1980, but brought my family back to this wonderful town in 2000. My wife was from the south, but she absolutely adores Macclesfield, and that is because it is such a wonderful place to live, has so much to offer, so much going for it, a really thriving place. So what can I offer you? Enthusiasm, hard work, willingness to get involved. I've been a school teacher since 2000, right up to retirement last year in Bramall in the Stockport. Sort of job that takes up a lot of headspace, but since then, since retiring, I've become even more involved in wanting to make a difference. To me, it's about values and meeting people. When I was knocking on doors last year, or year before during the general election, the actual process of meeting many people, the number of people who said, you're the first person to knock on my door, first person to listen to me, and I still think sometimes we can forget some of those, some of the less obvious, visible people. So that's really what I can offer you. In terms of experience, I don't have a huge amount of experience, but I do have a lot of enthusiasm, willingness, and that is really why I've put myself forward, because I want to get involved and make a difference and help Macclesfield. I care passionately about the town. As I said, I think it's a wonderful place to live. It has so much going for it, and including the football team, of course, which I'm a season ticket holder of. My card arrived today, very pleased. But yeah, it has so many more things, and that's really all I have to say. And I'm more glad to take any questions.
Thank you, Chris. Do we have any questions?
Thank you.
Councillor Edwards.
Sorry to be again.
No, it's fine.
Just in your resume, you mentioned that you're a member of the Labour Party.
Mhm.
It's interesting his background, but just to point out that really the town council is non-political.
I agree, yeah.
I'm an independent
Mhm.
from Cheshire East, and we have some other Labour members,
Mhm.
but the town council is
Yeah.
non-political.
Well, I hope what we're putting forward there is my willingness to do what I can for Macclesfield, because
Yeah.
I'm very, very proud of the town.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other questions? No, in that case, thank you, Chris.
Thanks, James.
So, councillors, we now have the option to either take a recess and have a private discussion, or we can go straight to a vote. So, what I'll ask is, if you want to have a recess, if you put your hand up now.
Sorry.
No, in that case, we'll go straight to a vote then. Yeah, and you can still vote for Claire Isley based on her application, should you wish.
No apologies, Ryan.
Whether no.
Thank you. All right.
Nobody else. I haven't got a copy of what you've sent to me. Oh, yes. There is something coming.
So I can announce that Chris Kendrew has been elected by the council for the vacancy to take on as the new town councillor for Macclesfield Central Ward. So congratulations to Chris. So if you want to join the meeting now, you can do. Take a seat.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dave.
So I will now proceed on to the main items on the agenda, and I'm going to propose, as long as councillors are happy, that we move items 15 and 17 to be now. So that would mean we would hear the bid and the grant application first, so that we can get our public speakers heard as quickly as possible, if everyone's content.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. In that case, can I invite the Mac Means Business representative to discuss the Business Improvement District?
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for inviting us to just have a chat about the work we've done on the Macclesfield Business Improvement District. My name is Mo Aswat. I'm a director of the Mosaic Partnership, which is the consultancy used by Macclesfield Means Business to do the feasibility study. The feasibility study, of course, was funded through the town council. And really for me to give a quick update on that and then really the request for the further funding. So for those of you not aware what a business improvement district, it's simply an arrangement whereby businesses come together in a given area, town centre, industrial estate, etc. They decide what improvements they want to make over and above what the local authorities provide. All of that goes into a formal business plan. It could be a range of things, and they agree to fund that, usually through a 1 to 2% levy on the business rates, and that business plan is then voted on. If the majority of businesses vote yes by number and rateable value, then the business plan legally comes into being, and you're able to raise the money to then do the work that's set out in the business plan. It has to be over and above what the local authority does. What does that mean for Macclesfield? For that Macclesfield, it means that there's about 600 businesses. It will raise about £300,000 a year for the next 5 years, so 1.5 million over the whole 5-year term. And really, the feasibility work that we did, we talked to just over 110 businesses and organisations to get a sense of whether people would be interested in this. There was strong support to move forward with this. It's not a process for the faint-hearted. It does raise money. There are over 350 bids in the UK, including many nearby. And Macclesfield, in some ways, hugely lucky because the town council, and I think you may be surprised to hear me say this, the town council funds quite a lot of stuff pretty well in Macclesfield compared to a lot of town councils that we deal with up and down the country. We've done 150 bids across the country, and I think you would fall into perhaps the top 5 of funding in terms of town council money. And this is really to do over and above, and the sort of things that businesses have told us they want done here. Really, there's an element around sort of perception and branding that Macclesfield undersells itself. In some ways, there's a lot going on, but really, unless you're from Macclesfield, you don't really know about it that much in that way. So I think there was that element. There's the thing about supporting events. The events are very well, I mean, you put a lot of money into events, frankly. So really, it's about what you can add to that, potentially better marketing. You can perhaps link it to businesses better, perhaps different places, those sort of things. So over and above, people have talked to us about joint procurement. So one of the sort of less glamorous things about a bid, for example, is it gets independent businesses to come and procure things like energy, payment systems, and so forth, as a group rather than individually, so trade waste management and the like, and that gives actual bottom line savings to the average business. Independent small business would pay about 250 to 300 pounds a year, and the whole idea with a bid, and the reason people support bids across the UK, is this is not supposed to be a cost. It's the bid ultimately has to provide a return in one form or another. It lasts for a maximum of 5 years, and a bit like yourselves, you have to have a vote again to continue after 5 years, so it keeps you on your toes as well. It's not. The feasibility study has been carried out. It shows a lot of support. We looked at an area that included the core of the town centre, but then we looked at Barrack Mills, Sainsbury's, etc. as well. So we looked at a wider area than just, if you like, the town centre proper. But because this relies on a vote of both number and rateable value, the likes of Sainsbury's, Tesco's have already told us that for their stores outside of the core town centre, they will vote no. And they carry about 30% of the rateable value, so we won't get a vote through. So we are going to concentrate on the core of the town centre, which is about 600 business, bring in about £300,000 a year over the next 5 years. We feel pretty confident working with the Macmeans business team that the process will be successful, that it'll end up in a vote. The timetable is that if we were to get the funding, then we have what's called a development phase, where we do a consultation that'll talk to about 80% of the businesses. 80% of businesses will do all the engagement pre-Christmas, put a business plan together, and go to a month-long postal vote, which is carried out by the returning officer in March. And if it's a yes, we'll be able to move forward with the bid, and the town council will be part of the task group and part of the eventual board if a bid is successful as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will invite councillors to ask any questions now that they may have. So does anyone wish to ask any questions? Councillor Hutchison.
Yeah, and you said there were 600 businesses involved. What sort of numbers do you think would actually contribute? That's the first question. The second one, some of these local independent businesses are different sizes and have different profit margins. Is it equitable?
Yeah.
Do they all pay the same?
No. No. So the first thing, it's a formal process, so it's a statutory process. So if the majority vote yes, then everybody pays, irrespective of whether you've voted yes, no, and not at all. So in a bid, that's a difficult part of this process, because you have to persuade people to vote yes. But if you vote yes by number and by rateable value, not one or the other, and the by number protects small businesses, there's more of them. If they don't like it, they could vote no by number. And the by rateable value protects. So you could get all the small businesses voting yes, but if Tesco's, etc., vote no, then they carry, a large rateable. So, but if they vote yes, then it's compulsory, and you have the same powers of enforcement for the payment as you do for business rates. So therefore you have a say. And yes, it's based, the 1 to 2% is based on rateable value. So of course, if you're a smaller outfit, you have a lesser rateable value. If you're Tesco's, your rateable value is 1.5 million a year. If you're the smallest business, it's 5,000. So you pay 1 to 2% of the 5,000, or if you're Tesco's, you pay 1 to 2% of the 1.2 million. So it has to be sustainable, fair and equitable. So I think, for small business, I mean, the other big thing to remember is in Macclesfield, 50% of businesses pay no business rates at all at the moment, because they fall under the threshold. So there's no, and with a bid levy, what you're really doing is, it can't be a cost. You have to show that. But 9 out of 10 bids get voted in after 5 years.
Linked to that, so would Tesco likely to back it then? Because they've got the money to pay.
They'll back their in-town store, but not, because they see their standalone outfits as not part of the town centre, if you like. Whether you agree with it or not, that's how they see it. As do Sainsbury's. So anything in town, they'll support, but not stuff that sits out on the periphery.
Thank you. Councillor Edwards.
You mentioned a reign of 5 years, I think.
Yeah.
We have elections next year, and our reign, if you like, our period is only 4 years.
Yeah.
do you find it possible to adapt your idea to 4 years rather than 5? Or is that absolutely set in stone?
No, it's a maximum of 5 years, so you can adapt. What I would say is people who are doing a bid, because it's a tough, difficult process, almost all bids go for the maximum of 5 years and then have a vote again. You can do it shorter, but nobody ever does because it's a really tough process.
Could I just point out that I sit on Cheshire East as well as the Town Council, and in 16 or 17, the previous administration signed a contract for a ridiculous length of time for Ringway Jacobs to repair all our roads and so on. And we're still, even now, got that burden of being under contract with Ringway Jacobs. I just wondered about...
I'm not sure how... I mean, that's a contractual arrangement between the local authority. This is based on a statutory, it's based on the bid regulations of 2004. You have it up to 5 years. It's non-partisan. You know, you've got business plan that you're saying you'll deliver over 5 years, and people are paying on that basis, and therefore they would expect that delivery to take place irrespective of what political colours are in position. Yeah.
Thank you.
Ayla.
Thank you. Do I understand that within that 5-year period, you expect to come and give an update?
You have to, so you have to actually formally, statutorily, you have to do a bit, you know, like you do for council tax, you have your what's been spent on what. You have to produce that at the end of each year, and that is publicly available. The actual bid is managed by a company limited by guarantee, a not-for-profit company, and they will produce annual reports and accounts that are also publicly available.
Thank you. Councillor Wilson.
Hi Mo, thanks for coming along to go through all the details with us. I've got a few questions.
Sure.
The first question relates to Tesco's and Sainsbury's and the decision they're taking about their out-of-town stores.
Yeah.
In your experience, is that the usual approach they take, or did you specifically approach the stores in Macclesfield to get their views for this bid?
Okay, so the stores in Macclesfield do not make the decision. Mm-hmm. The decision for voting is made. They have particular people at head office there. So you'll find the local managers tend to be quite supportive. Mm-hmm. But it's ahead. Tesco's, because they now pay in excess of nearing 1.5 million across the UK, they've now instituted a position which they say that they will vote for their local stores as they deem them, but anything out of town, edge of town, the presumption is a no.
I do know anecdotally from the other bids that we have in Cheshire East that the larger supermarkets are supportive, you know, to the bid itself, but I wasn't aware they'd taken a blanket view across the whole of the country.
Well,
So my next question is, you've mentioned a few times in the document about parking coming up as part of the consultation and concerns about the cost of parking and how that could possibly be reduced. Can you talk us through how that will be achieved by a bid? Right. How could a bid reduce the cost of parking?
So, for the first thing is almost anywhere I go, you know, if I ask the question, what's your major issue? 98% will say parking. And the issue is usually either the volume of parking or parking's too expensive, it should be free. Now, a bid cannot make car parking free. It'd be too expensive, it doesn't raise the money, etc. What bids do is tactical promotions, both for car parking and public transport. So lots of bids do, for example, say free after 3, or there are bids that make car parking free for the week in the run-up to Christmas, for example. And it's very simple. There's no sort of magic dust. They pay loss of income to whoever the operators are for that period of time. So they might do tactical promotions. Beyond that, it's really about being involved as a body if somebody is making decisions about car parks in terms of what you do, how you... So the town I come from, Ashby de la Zouch, we got very involved in when the district council did their strategy around car parking and how they might bring in short stay parking, etc. Those are the sorts of things that you can have a very constructive dialogue with whoever is responsible. So there's different ways in which bids can influence and help with that sort of thing.
Okay, I mean, we already do have some after free parking in Macclesfield, but I was interested to hear the sort of technical side of that. I had a question about the ballot period because documentation mentions May and March, but you've clearly said it's March.
It's going to be March, mid-March.
So my final question is regarding, there's a table on page 45 that details the indicative annual budget. And the figures that are in that table add up to £336,000, although the total says £280,000. Can you just explain to me where the additional £56,000 coming from, please?
So most bids over a period of the 5 years will raise at least 20% in additional income through grant income, through income regeneration activities, etc. So it's not linear, it's not necessarily 20% every year for 5 years, but over the 5-year period, they tend to raise about 20% in additional income using what they're raising from the levy.
Might be helpful for the future if the table had a note to it then, because I couldn't work out where the difference was at first.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Are there any other questions that anyone's got? Sarah?
Yes, on page 26, it says that the feasibility study was informed by more than 110 direct touch points. What percentage of that, of the businesses in the town centre, was that number?
So what percentage of that? So that was 90%.
It was
90% of that was in the town centre. We talked to...
of the businesses?
Sorry?
Of the total businesses?
Oh, no, in terms of the 600. So we try and talk to about 20% during the feasibility study.
Anything else? Or we can move to the vote. Councillor Wilson.
I'd like to move the proposition, please. Mr Mayor, I'd like to approve that Macclesfield Town Council approves the requested grant of £37,500 to proceed to the next stage of the Macclesfield bid. If it's seconded, I'd like to speak.
Yep. Do we have a seconder for that proposal? Councillor Hutchison? Do you want to speak now? Yep.
So first of all, I think this is an excellent document that's brought forward to us the results of our feasibility study that we also paid for. We paid £9,984, including VAT, for the feasibility study, and I think that's demonstrated very clearly that there is feasibility and room for a bid for Macclesfield. I think the key thing I would like to draw to people's attention, which Mo has already covered, is that information contained on page 33 of the bid, and I'd like to read it out because I think it's really, really important. It's also worth pointing out that Macclesfield Town Council commits significant resources, unlike many other authorities of a similar size, to the town centre through a well-regarded events calendar and the look and feel of the place, with ranges and the floral displays the most visible. Project services delivered by the bid would add value or enhance, but not replace these activities. I think Mo's mentioned that in the presentation he's made. It's in our paperwork. I think that is really, really key. I think Macclesfield is already doing a great deal for town centre regeneration. It's very disappointing when we hear people say that nothing's happening in Macclesfield, doing our town down. It really isn't the case. It really isn't what's happening. As the town centre regeneration champion, I'm involved in a lot of projects regarding town centre regeneration, and I think it's something that is really paying dividends for us. You've only got to look at the footfall figures for Macclesfield and hear the testimony of the independent businesses to see that when we have a 1281 festival, we double the number of people in town. When Pride is taking place, that we sponsor and support, significant numbers of people come into town than would do on a comparable Saturday. It's really important to me that this bid adds value. I think it's really key as a town council, if this bid is successful, which I hope it will be, we will be a bid levy payer, and that will give us involvement and a say on both the board to plan this and also going forward, which is really important to me, because I think we've talked a bit about communication already this evening. Being there and talking things through and being part of that process with all the commitment we've already made to Macclesfield Town Centre would be very key. So I urge all councillors to support this proposal, and let's continue to move forward to get a bid for Macclesfield. Macclesfield is a little bit dragging behind here, but we need to catch up. There are other successful bids in Cheshire East, and let's make this another one.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson. Do you want to speak, Councillor Hutchison?
I just wanted to support what you said, Councillor Wilson, and just to bring an air of positivity about this. You know, you don't achieve anything by sitting on your hands doing nothing, and this seems to be an ideal opportunity. Town centres we know are changing, and we've got to embrace those changes, but we also need to support our independent local businesses, and again, this is an investment in our town, giving us an opportunity to move forward in a very positive and optimistic manner.
Thank you very much. So we've got a proposal by Councillor Wilson, seconded by Councillor Hutchison. So if we're happy to move to the vote, then can I...
Just make one point?
yeah, of course.
We've heard just recently that the Town of Culture bid has failed, which is very disappointing. I don't know if we had any financial involvement in that. I do hope with this that we're putting a lot of money and a lot of time and effort into it, that we are successful in doing this. We mustn't just sort of say in a couple of years' time, well, we gave it a go, you know, and didn't work out. I do hope that it will be successful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Edwards. I think we can all agree with that. So in that case,
Can I just reply to that point, please?
yes,
Chair?
go ahead.
Yeah, but there is an agenda item later on the agenda, Councillor Edwards, about the Town of Culture. And as the person who's been involved in that from the Town Council, I'd like to report that it isn't the end of the road.
Good.
There are positive things we can do. I'll talk about it more when we get there because it's a separate agenda item. But
No offence.
whilst it's disappointing, no, I'm not none-taken, but whilst it's a disappointing outcome, it's not the end of the road for the Town of Culture bid.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you. We can now move to the vote, if that's okay with everyone. So all those in favour of approving the grant of £37,500? Any abstentions? And anyone against? A-lift?
Yes, I voted.
Voting for. Cool. Thank you very much.
So that was unanimous, Chair.
Yes,
Thank
that
you.
was unanimous. So
Thank you very much.
congratulations.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much. So I'll move on now to item number 17, which is an application for a grant over £2,000. So this is a grant for £6,000, and we've got Kevin Hoynes and James Kennedy to speak, and you've got 3 minutes between you. So if you want to come forward and speak, just Kevin.
Thank you. Firstly, I'm going to read out two summaries regarding two residents, one of Lime Avenue on the Moss Rose estate and one of the Treacle Avenue. The first one is in relation to a resident called Jawad who lives there with his wife and young child. He says he is fully supportive, has donated and volunteered to the project. He says for us it will be a massive benefit, save on travel for most social activities and family events. It will enable us to connect within the community, build lasting roots with neighbours, will hire the hall for hosting family celebrations. Also, initiatives to support the cost of living crisis will be incredibly beneficial to us. With rising costs, many families are struggling. For friends, neighbours and other local families, this hub will be an absolute lifeline. Will provide a safe, warm and affordable space for people to come together without financial anxiety, ensuring that community connection remains a right for everyone rather than a luxury. I hope this input helps demonstrate just how vital this project is for the future of our neighbourhood. And now for a Lime Green resident, a Lime Avenue resident on the Moss Rose estate, James, who was hoping to be here but was called away. I have a wife and two boys, 8 and 10. Both attend a wide range of activities at St Barnabas. This will not change. However, I look forward to further variety of activities that will appeal to them as they get older. My wife was helping with First Moss Rose Scout Group until it closed. This was very sad and is an example of how Moss Rose need more help, not less. We fully support the whole project and feel it will bring a fresh breath of life back into Moss Rose Estate. My wife and I will attend any classes or activities that are not catered for at St Barnabas, and I am thinking about potential of expanding my dog care business and hiring the hall for running training classes. Like many, we struggle with the cost of living crisis and do already take advantage of Create and Sutton Community Fridge. We look forward to other initiatives to help our family and neighbours, and we hope you will support the hall. In relation to myself as a trustee of Lime Green Community Hall, after survey delivery, up to 3 calls were made to each house. They were given the option to drop the reply off locally. We got a very high positive replies to all questions. A large number of residents signed up for newsletters, a number made donations, several have become volunteers, and Ashgrove Academy have completed a fundraiser. On the Moss Rose estate, I met some lovely people, also met people who were struggling with day-to-day life, and the last thing they had in their mind was to read a survey. Help can be offered, and it will be with the initiatives we will put together. I have a lot of empathy with people from South Ward. I was brought up myself in Wythenshawe. My son went to Ashgrove School. We can help those that need our help. On the Treacle Avenue estate, it was a very high return. Jawad has outlined his support, mirrored by most of the estate. The project is overwhelmingly supported by your residents and Ashgrove School. It will be a vital addition to South Ward and wider Macclesfield area. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will invite councillors if you have any questions on this proposal.
Could I just explain, I'm very hard of hearing and
Okay.
I can't connect to your system, so at the moment I may have some difficulty, so I might have to approach whoever's asking me a question.
Councillor Gilman.
My question's actually for Fiona.
For me?
Yes, if that's okay. Because there's a lot of mention in the report about Southward, which is yours.
It is.
And this community hall isn't actually going to be in Macclesfield, it's going to be in Sutton, isn't it?
It is, yes.
So I just wanted, as the councillor for Southward, I wanted your views on how you feel it would benefit, if it would benefit the residents of your ward, please, if that's okay.
Yes, of course. I mean, I was intending in due course to move the proposal because I do support the proposal. What Kevin hasn't explained in his outline is that myself and Brighton Councillor Puddicombe, who sat here, the other Cheshire East councillor, we did engage and support both Kevin on the gathering of the questionnaires. We didn't speak to everybody, but we did speak to a number of people, but the report doesn't actually cover that. It was myself and Councillor Puddicombe who recommended the Treacle Avenue, Cornbrook Road, Belgrave Road and Lime Avenue estates, the roads to speak to. This is one of those things where the Treacle Avenue, I'm not surprised that the Treacle Avenue estate return rate and engagement was high, because geographically they are the closest to the Lime Green Community Hall. I think the other thing to bear in mind is that the importance of this project is that this land has been given for this project as part of the new builds that are a little bit further out near Gore End Lane. So this is something that has come about for the house building on Gore End Lane, where the developer has given the land to be turned into a community hall. So I do support this. I would be asking us to endorse the grant of £6,000 to enable this project to go ahead. Kevin's spoken very warmly about Macclesfield Southward, and as he knows, I've been a councillor there since 2019, and I'm very well aware and support the residents there and both their struggles, but also their cheerfulness. And we work very closely with Ashgrove School. Councillor Puddicombe and I have been holding surgeries there with others I'll mention, certainly the CAB were there last time and others. So there's a lot to do on Macclesfield Southward to tackle deprivation, which is in Macclesfield Southward the 10%. You've heard me say this before, but I make no apologies for repeating it. It's the 10% most deprived ward, amongst the 10% most deprived wards in the country. So I do support this. I think that lots of work's gone in to developing the questionnaire process. The residents we spoke to, I personally feel the response about their engagement was dependent upon their age. I think younger people would be more keen to get involved, whereas older people didn't necessarily say they would want to use the hall for anything. But I still think that this is a project that we should be supporting, so I do support it. And Councillor Pudlick and I were involved in assisting to give advice about where to go with this, and also talking to Create and Peaks and Plains and others, and also helping distribute the questionnaires.
Thank you. That was really helpful. Ordinarily, something that falls outside of Macclesfield, I think I would be perhaps not so keen to support. But when you explain that it actually will, you know, positively impact people that could really benefit from some positive impact, then that's really helpful. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Gilman.
Thank you.
I'm still unclear about exactly where this is going to be, because there are like two estates there. There's the slightly older one, and then there's the Morris Homes one.
Yes.
And there's the road down to the old glue factory.
If you just paint the picture for you, as you're driving out past the football club,
Yes.
past the retail park,
Yes.
you then come to the Canal Bridge
Yes.
with the petrol station.
Yeah.
Immediately after the petrol station is the entrance to Cheshire East Yard,
Yes.
where they do gritting. Immediately next to that is a fenced area, and it's behind that fenced area there's
Thank you.
a map.
So it's very adjacent to South Park.
It's literally
South Ward, isn't it?
125 yards from your town border, which is, at that point, is the canal. As you know, the boundary,
Yeah.
the town boundary is marked in blue on that map. And
Amongst the facilities, will it be a youth club there or anything?
Sorry?
Will there be youth club facilities there?
Yes, there'll be all sorts of facilities like that. There's a big list amongst your papers of proposed activities. And we are liaising with Create, so because they already do activities for various ages, so we will support that with ones they suggest, like for that they can't do for any reason, you know, and where we can, we will provide those free to help those struggling with the cost of living crisis.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Edwards. Are there any further questions from councillors? No. In that case, can I ask if we have a proposer for this? Councillor Wilson, would you like to speak after Councillor Wilson?
Well, I propose the grant of £6,000 be awarded to the Lime Green Community Hall planning phase. And if I get a seconder, I think I've spoken already, but I would like to write reply if there's anything to reply to.
Of course. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Bennett-Wake.
I'd like to second the proposal because regardless of boundaries and location,
Sorry?
I'm talking to Fiona, you can sit down now.
Okay.
The acoustics in this room is not great if you struggle with your hair. I hope you can lip read my scouse. I think regardless of boundary, there's a need everywhere that everyone, regardless to where they live, is suffering from cost of living. Also following COVID, I think in some respects our communities have gone back indoors and we've lost those places to meet and gather and be community together. All different ages, different mixes, and I think having been lucky enough to still hanging on to the community centre in Herdsfield, and you're more than welcome to use it, Emma, is that you need somewhere for people to congregate and go, and you know, perhaps I know Chris and St Barnabas and the school do fantastic work, but you might need a bigger space to have more people in different groups to meet. And I do note from the papers that Sutton Town Council have given a grant as well, and I think that's quite right, and I think it's fair, so I would second the motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Do you want a right reply on anything, Sarah? Brilliant. In that case, We have a proposer and seconder to give £6,000 towards planning phase costs. So if we move to the vote, all those in favour? That is unanimous. Lovely. Oh yeah. If you want to leave at this point, feel free.
Thank you.
No one from the library. Just a report. Cool, that's fine.
Well, you could at all.
And there's no
You could at all.
Okay. Brill. In that case, we will move now on to, I'm going to move the rest of our public speakers up further so we can get you all sorted quickly. So we were due to have the local police unit, however, I do not believe anyone is here from the local police unit, so we will move on. So item 9.2 is the Citizen Advice Bureau, so we've got Will.
Go
on.
Mr Mayor. It is indeed very disappointing that nobody has come from the local police unit.
Yeah.
But can I actually say they have sent a very, very good written report. Very informative. I found exceptionally useful. And I think it's clear to see that the police are doing a really good job in Macclesfield. Certainly on my ward, Macclesfield South, we have a very good working relationship with our police constable and police community support officer. But it is disappointing that nobody's come along.
They did tell me somebody was coming.
Yes, I thought
I've not had anything, so.
Thank you, Laura. In that case, I will bring Will in from the Citizen Advice Bureau for item 9.2.
Thank you very much. Yes, indeed, I'm Will Callum, Chief Officer of Citizens Advice Cheshire East, as it is now. I think the first thing to advise the council of, if they're not already aware of it, that in April, Citizens Advice Cheshire East, that had its main office in Crewe, and Citizens Advice Cheshire North, which is the organisation I've represented, certainly at this council for a good number of years, merged. That took place, it's a process that's been ongoing for about the last 18 months, but it was finally got over the line April this year. And as far as the makeup of the organisation is concerned, the bulk of the board is made up of what was Citizens Advice Cheshire North trustees. Indeed, none have actually left, but a number of Citizens Advice Cheshire East board members have left. And the senior management team is essentially made up of what was Citizens Advice Cheshire North. So as far as faces that you may come across when you're engaging with if you like, the new, larger Citizens Advice Service, they'll be familiar. I continue to be the Chief Officer of the combined organisation. Hopefully you've all had opportunity to see the report. Because of the way that we've reported in the past, I've continued on a 3-month basis, so it actually ends end of April, which obviously was a good few months ago, but I took the decision that as far as continuity is concerned, if the council wanted to compare with previous years, previous quarters, whatever, that level of continuity would be there. If the council would rather I reported in a different way, I think as I've said in the report, if there's anything I can do, put in the report, take out the report, expand, very, very happy to do so. As far as the details are concerned, it's a similar picture with regards to kind of issues that we deal with. We deal with, as I hope the council's aware, we deal with a lot of welfare benefits issues, but we deal with a lot of debt issues, and over the last few years we deal with a lot of housing issues. In one of the elements of the report, I make the point that we've seen a number of private landlords looking to effectively sell their properties. I've mentioned in previous meetings pushing 50% of the private sector across the whole of the country are landlords that have 1, 2 properties, often ones that they've inherited or they were living in independently, moved in with a new partner and rented the property out. A few years ago we saw when there was increases in variable interest rates that a number of landlords were then looking to sell properties. which in a way is a good thing. They move into the owner-occupier area of housing. However, what it does mean is that there's a shrinking pool of private rented property. We've seen that to a degree over the last few months, over the last 6 to 8 months, with the proposals for the changes in private rented, where landlords have decided that they don't want the trouble, and so they look to sell the properties. And as I said, that shrinks the pool of properties for people to rent privately, which market forces regrettably will mean that the prices for the existing rents will go up. And of course, there's still challenges around availability, essentially the numbers of affordable housing. As far as the overall numbers are concerned, for the comparable period, 3 months prior to the period that the report covers, we saw an increase of 42 clients and an increase of 499 separate problems, because often clients will come with more than one problem, or if they do come with one problem, the reality is that there's a number of others associated that maybe the client isn't aware of. We also report on the monies gained, financial benefit to our clients. And as is often the case, sometimes there's no apparent rhyme or reason to it. Even though there are more clients and more problems, there was actually a reduction of just over £16,500 in financial benefit. The previous quarter, it had been 620,000 that our work with clients had brought in additional income, whereas for the last quarter, it was just over 450,000. And as I said, a lot of our work relates to a cost of living. It always has welfare benefits, debt, housing, and relationship issues, regrettably, and assisting clients with access to charitable and other financial support. But the benefit, I'll fetch my little piece on a benefit, is that the coming together of the Citizens Advice Cheshire East and Cheshire North has meant that there were some members of the paid and volunteer team that operated out of what we might call the crew office, who actually were Macclesfield based. What we've been able to do is kind of reconfigure the way that they can work, and so that means that there's additional resources coming into the town. That's not to say that we're taking away, we're asset stripping, we're taking resources away from crew, because there's significant work going on around how we can build up the provision in that particular town, but it's just making good and a better use of trained local resources, which will have a benefit on the benefit to the town. As I said that, very, very happy to take any questions, and again, if anyone's getting suggestions, requests for what might go in the report, or indeed what might come out, very, very happy to listen to that.
Thank you, Will, and as ever, I think it's a really fantastic report, so thank you very much for putting that together. Do we have any questions or comments for Will? Sarah?
Will will be sick of the sight of me because I was just on a call with him earlier today. I'm really disappointed with the number of private landlords who evict their tenants because of the Renters' Rights Act. And I can see that spiking with stats as well, has gone up. What would be the one thing that would change those statistics for renters? What would help?
Well, not taking a CAB half, but maybe putting it slightly to one side. I think it's about information about those because in the main, those landlords will be, they're not professional landlords, like I said, they've just got one, maybe two properties. It's about them knowing what the implications of the changes are. I suspect there's a lot of fear, a lot of ignorance, and it may well be that for private landlords that it has been a hassle for them and this just pushes them over the edge. But the concerns around, for example, the changes to the length of tenancies, generally speaking, certainly in this area, people aren't jumping 1 month, moving from property to property. Generally, people want security. So the fact that the landlord can no longer tie people in for specific periods of time, in truth, isn't probably going to make a difference to their tenants, because their tenants need a home, their tenants are going to stay. So it's kind of probably that broader information to brief the landlords, where I think maybe if there was a promotion, the promotion was around the rights of the tenant. Maybe what could have been is more information to, well, actually, what's the how is this going to impact in practice landlords? Because of course, their rights were changed, but in practice, people need homes, people need the security of somewhere to live, and so it's not as though then suddenly they were going to find themselves being exploited.
So perhaps more council housing might solve that problem.
Sorry?
So perhaps more council housing might solve that problem.
Oh, social housing. So yeah, but what we know about social housing, what's been happening over the last 2 years, has been a steady decline, and it's just because, in part, and I know I've discussed it before, disrepair, so properties have had to be, can no longer be used within stock and right to buy. So faster than the properties are being built, they're hemorrhaging out the other end.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
David?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You mentioned the link between you and Cheshire East, I think. I recently wanted to contact Cheshire East Trading Standards, and I really got, sorry, am I wrong about that? I stand corrected. No, I'm sorry. I do wonder what your relationship is with Cheshire East. They literally just said, nothing to do with us. Go to Citizens Advice Bureau. Didn't give me a telephone number or contact or anything like that. I just wonder how many people actually work in trading standards and what your relationship is with trading standards.
I often go out to community events that take place, the kind of events that take place here, as well as other towns, and we're often pitched next door to trading standards. We have a really good relationship with them. I suspect maybe something was lost in the communication there. Essentially there are 2 tiers when it comes to consumer advice. And the first tier is a telephone-based service that national government contracts with National Citizens Advice. So there's essentially a consumer helpline number, and I suspect that's what trading standards are talking about. You can't walk into council, and this is anywhere in the country, and access consumer trading standards. You contact the nationally funded consumer advice line, and it was unfortunate you weren't given the number, but you would contact that national telephone advice line, and they would then see whether or not they can help. And if then that's a paid trained advisor, and if that person deems, well, actually the nature of this case is something that local trading standards should be involved with, then they would make the active referral with permission to the local trading standards, and then they would become involved.
Thank you.
I think there's it's understandable, I think possibly in the past it was more the case where people feel that they could contact the council and have access to trading standards. It doesn't really work that way now. There's this first tier, which is a telephone advice line, which has been around for a good number of years and works pretty well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Wilson.
Yes, thank you very much, Will, for your report as ever. We've seen each other quite a bit over the past few weeks, certainly with Citizens Advice, attendance at community events. You've mentioned in your report about the fact you've been doing that. As a councillor, I've been doing that as well, as you know, because we've seen each other at various different things. And certainly I'm finding that going to, we had an event at Ashbrook School, didn't we, where the head teacher organised a joint drop-in with a number of sort of casework, surgery with a number of different organisations, including the police, the antisocial behaviour team. We now have a surgery at the Create grocery every other week, because we find that going to people and being there when people are also there, we get things picked up with us that we would never ever pick up if we were just simply sat waiting for people to come to ask us stuff. So are you finding, as a result of the outreach work you're doing, which is brilliant and very, very welcomed, are you finding you're picking up more cases?
Well, we're picking up those additional cases.
Yeah.
If we just sat in the office, we'd get plenty of business. But what we're aware of, and this is something that we learned across 2021, 22, that we saw we were working from home, all done telephone, but we still saw a 30% increase in the number of clients that we were seeing. So if it was just a numbers game, then, and as has been the case with other citizen advice, I'm afraid, there would be this retraction into a lot of working from home and smaller offices, and indeed some citizen advice actually gave up their offices because of the numbers that they saw through the COVID years. But what we were aware of, because we've always been very sensitive to the specific needs of many of our clients and the vulnerabilities, and we weren't seeing the clients that we would expect to see. So going out and being proactive and going to those kind of events, because we believe in going more than halfway, and we fish where the fish are, so we go out where you know those problems are going to be. Because if it's just a numbers game, like I say, we could all sit from home and we take the numbers and we could report and say, look at all this good that we're doing. But increasingly, with the development of technology and what's available online, there's a massive information online. And whereas I always use the analogy when my daughter is much older than school age now, well, if I wanted to help her with something around the Crusades, I'd have to wait until the library was open, go to the library, hope that the book was there, get the book, read it, and come back and share it with her. Now I can just get it on the phone, I can get it within minutes. And that's the case for a lot of people who used to use our service. The answer is now on the phone. Our clients are people who, for one reason or another, either they're complicated or their issue is too complicated for them to deal with themselves. And part of that is, as you suggest, going to where the people are. Equality of access is more than widening a door, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Going down and trying to engage with people as much as you can. And sometimes that's going back again. So we do a fair amount of work with food banks. Go to the food bank, maybe somebody doesn't use it, go the next week, maybe somebody, third week, maybe somebody will come over. And then you've got to be able to commit to it. And that's not a numbers game. But that's really not what we're about accessing and supporting people.
Yeah, it's certainly a pattern that I'm noticing as a councillor, that if you are there with other people as well, you can do your bit that you're asked about and then pass them on to somebody else, and it's like a sort of multiple area. Residents
I think
can come
one of the benefits of working like that is that, so if we were just to open up here, say certain advice here, people, if you come in, you know you're going to certain advice, but if I'm here, the council's here, Peace and Plains are here, all those other agencies, maybe get your blood pressure tested, all those other agencies, it neutralises it, and more people are going to come in, and they might have a crafty word with us, and then they go and get the blood pressure tested, and then they tell Peace and Plains what they think of them kind of thing. And it kind of, but it's people more likely to access those groups. No, I think that kind of way of working is very effective.
I agree. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Woodcock.
I will. Again, this is nothing against you. I was disappointed a few weeks ago to receive a call from the Citizens Advice Bureau. After many minutes of gentle persuasion by myself, the gentleman on the other end of the phone admitted that it wasn't from the Citizens Advice. It transpired it was probably a scam call in relation to debts. All I was wondering is there anything that the Citizens Advice locally or nationally have got campaigns in relation to flagging these scam callers? Because obviously, people with debts, they're looking for help. They get called into a scam call. It could be much worse. So I was just wondering if there's any help or information.
I wasn't aware of anything recently where people have been passing themselves off as Citizens Advice, but I guess if you're going to do that, it's going to happen. And I think it used to be the case if you Google Citizens Advice debt, because of the promoted aspect of certain search engines, it wouldn't be Citizens Advice at the top, but if you just click the first bit, then you'd be off to a commercial organisation. There isn't anything that we're doing currently, but this is the first I've heard of it. Maybe we need to get out more and listen to more, I don't know. But we certainly will. We're talking to the National Citizens Advice, who we affiliate to see whether or not that is a pattern that's being seen. And then what can we do? We can promote around social media and things like that, and say, this is what won't do, so that people can recognise it. But you're quite right, the nature of that kind of work, and this is one of the benefits of when we're often next to trading standards, we have a chat around what happens and the kind of ways of operating that some of these organisations employ. And they get you on the wrong moment. You're expecting a call from your bank, or you've just made a payment, and then apparently it's your bank that's contacting you. There's only so much that can be done, but if there's an organised operation that's going ahead with them, that's promoting itself as ourselves, then I think that's something that we can push out in our social media.
Thank you. A-Lift.
Thank you. With respect to what was said before, the main problem here is that there is not enough housing. And the poor, the uncertain, the vulnerable, the weak, the lack of access will continually produce the problem of finding accommodation that is not there. There is no, it's so uncertain housing. It's such an emotional subject that words that are nice and policies that are good and enduring will not find houses. And that problem will be eternal until there are houses enough for people. And with the best of intentions, I see this as a revolving thing where inequality and of access to housing that is available, that availability has not been demonstrated. This will be an eternal problem of insecurity of tenure of housing. So until we tackle that basic thing, with respect to all your work, I can see this not a solution, but just temporary until there are enough housing for people. And thank you for listening.
No worries. Thank you, Councillor Harewood. Is there any other comments or questions? No? Okay. In that case, thank you, Will, for coming as always, and we will see you next time. I will now invite, as our final public speaker, the Silk Museum, so Dr. Harding.
Good evening, I'm Claire Harding, the Director of the Silk Museum. I wanted to start by saying thank you very much for your support for the museum for the 1281 Festival. What an amazing day it was. We had over 400 visitors to the museum that day, many of whom were families, people who said, I've never been here before, despite being lifelong Macclesfield residents. It's almost slightly depressing and happy at the same time. There was a fantastic atmosphere. The whole day was superbly organised. We found they'd come clutching their guide. They'd already been to multiple venues in the rest of the town. They were covered in glitter. They had flowers in their hair. There was people wearing fairy wings and badges and all sorts. It was an absolutely amazing afternoon. We'd be delighted to support the event again next year. And we're also looking forward to Textile Week now, which has also got your support. That starts on the 19th of September onwards. There are 50 events that we're holding, a combination of free and paid for events across the town. Our programme is on our website now, and we hope to see some of you there. So, as our home in the former School of Art building approaches its 150th year, we are asking ourselves, how do we ensure that we will still be here, still be relevant, and still be genuinely loved by the people of this town in another 150 years? We want to be a museum that belongs to Macclesfield, not just one that happens to be here. And where people come not to just look at the past, but to think about the future. Where makers make, young people find opportunities, communities feel seen, and anyone who walks through our doors feels like that this was a place that was made for them. Our new business plan sets out 6 strategic objectives for the next 5 years. I want to focus this evening on what those objectives mean for specifically Macclesfield. Our first objective is concerned with growth. Everything we're doing is about bringing more people through our door. Our visitor numbers rose 21% last year, well ahead of our own 7% annual target, and against a national trend of flat or falling attendance at heritage destinations. This is a significant achievement. That growth matters locally, of course, because more visitors means more footfall in the town centre, more income for local businesses, and a stronger case for Macclesfield as a heritage destination. Our second priority is about young people. A clear priority for our new business plan is in supporting young people facing barriers into employment, particularly in areas of this town where deprivation is highest, through work experience, skills development, and a new Macclesfield School of Art programme. We already work with 2,000 school children a year, 55 schools from this region. We are growing our partnership with Pink College and their neurodivergent young people, and schools and colleges from across the town. We had a fantastic group from Titherington School in last week, they were amazing. We're already talking to Macclesfield College, and we're about to submit a funding application to further develop this work for the benefit of local young people. Our third set of strategic objectives centres access and inclusion. The Silk Museum remains free to enter and will always be so as long as I'm at the helm. Removing the single barrier to biggest barrier to local visits, and our capital plans put accessibility at the centre of our design, not as an afterthought. Independent research tells us that 39% of disabled visitors are currently at 2 heritage venues, are currently uncertain whether their needs will be met at heritage sites. We will be completing a new full access audit by the end of October and making the changes needed to our buildings and our programmes. As I said before, we want all the communities we serve across Macclesfield to feel seen, and we want everyone who walks through our doors to feel that the place was made for them. So if there are any groups in your communities, in your wards, that you think we should be connecting with, please let me know. We are also focusing on our buildings. Capital development at the Silk Museum is central to this plan. Phase 1 in 2027 or 8 will create flexible event and hire space, contemporary textile and community gallery, and a climate-controlled special exhibitions room. Phase 2 will follow, improving the ground floor visitor experience and accessibility. In terms of our finances, we are working to reduce our dependence on any single source of income, including grant funding, by diversifying our fundraising, growing our earned income, and building up our reserves. The Macclesfield Town Council's continued support remains an important part of how we operate, and we really value that partnership. We recognise the financial challenges that the Council faces, and will have to review very shortly. We reiterate that the money that we receive from Macclesfield Town Council continues to be critically important, not only because it supports the work we deliver for local residents, but because it demonstrates to our funders that we have the support of local authorities, that you have confidence in what we do, and that it has real value to local communities. Through using it as match funding with trusts and foundations, we transform that £20,000 into nearly £400,000 worth of funding every year. With any luck, we'll transform it into £600,000 in 2027-28, as we start to plan a major capital development at the museum. Our vision is to become a resilient museum that has grown into its full potential, where Macclesfield's extraordinary silk heritage and its creative legacy comes alive. And we're going to need to secure around £3 million investment in order to make that happen. Finally, our business plan articulates a new vision for Silk Heritage Trust's civic role. We want the Trust to be an anchor institution at the heart of Macclesfield's civic and creative life, not just simply a visitor attraction, but a home for the town's makers, artists and community organisations, somewhere residents and community groups come together. As the councillor said before, we want to be one of those places that people congregate to. Our approach to audiences now is to build around the idea of a lifetime visitor, someone who first comes to us as a child, like our museum TOTS programme, our under-2s, returns with their school and their family, can build their skills with us as a teenager, and can grow into an adult visitor, a volunteer and supporter. That is how we plan to earn a lasting place in this town and play our part in Macclesfield's wider growth alongside the Council's own ambitions for town centre and creative economy. None of this rests on grand claims. This is a 5-year plan with clear targets, quarterly reporting to our board with an annual review of progress, and we will share these with the Council through meetings. I have flown through a vaguest of overviews of what we're actually going to be doing. It's a massive document. It's going to be approved by our own board, then locked on Thursday night. If anybody would like a coffee with me and to go through it in more detail, you are very welcome to do that. We know what we want to achieve, what it will take, and what we are committed to delivering for the people of this town. Our team of staff, our 64 volunteers, and our board are all behind this vision, and we really hope that Macclesfield Town Council will be too. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. Do we have any questions or comments? Councillor Edwards.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Excuse me. We met before at a meeting of the Silk Road Foundation in their offices there. I wondered what your feeling is about tourism. You very much mentioned Macclesfield so far, how we could spread the word wider. And one of the suggestions I had at that meeting was like a rover ticket, which would include entry to Jodrell Bank and Style Mill and places like that. Do you have any plans for expansion and encouraging tourism? I know there are more Chinese people visiting this year than, as far as I know, have ever visited Macclesfield. But I just wonder what your opinion is.
We're forming more networks, both with other museums across the region, other organisations, and like you say, people like Jodrell Bank. So our marketing manager used to be at Jodrell Bank, so we know them very well. So really it's about sort of some tactical deployment. Like I said, we're bringing in roughly 15,000 people to the town. We know that we're not going to keep them busy all day, so we need to give them other things to do. Now, whether or not that's stay in Macclesfield for their dinner, go to the shops, call in somewhere on their coach on the way through or whatever else. We're starting to look at that programme. We're starting to gather data now for the first time because of new systems and procedures we've got about exactly how people are coming to us and where they're coming from and where they're going to afterwards. And we're starting to sort of track that. I think sort of trying to do sort of combined tickets is very hard because they're parts of very much larger organisations. We have more to gain from this arrangement than they do. So it's always a tricky one to do. But we're very interested in having those conversations and continuing to sort of be supportive of each other in this region too, because we all win if we can get a bus over here. So,
thank you.
I've got Councillor Wilson next.
Yes, thanks very much, Claire, for both your written report and also for your update there. Everyone's very excited about the tapestry.
So excited.
Yeah,
isn't it?
I mean, I have seen it when I was a little bit younger, but there's massive queues to get there. But of course, you're bringing it to Macclesfield in your Bayer Tapestry project. Can you tell us a little bit more about how that's going to work? I assume it's during Textile Week, is it?
Actually, yes. Well, it kind of starts then, but it's kind of going to run all the way through when the Bayer Tapestry is running. So you just heard last week that we've had a £5,000 grant from British Museum for Technology, that we can actually, so they're sharing all of their resources with us. They're making out of Bayer Tapestry. So we are their regional partner for that project. So we have a lovely programme of activity led by Becca Smith, artist based in the town and probably familiar to many of you, and showing up the amazing tapestry which he's made with all the local stitches. There is at least 5 stitches by me on that. And yeah, it's going to be fantastic. I think sort of the way that we're going to be able to engage with kids in the sort of Norman part of the curriculum, up to textile artists who are fascinated by like kind of the actual making technique for the one. So Becca taught everybody how to do medieval stitches and embroidery, and dyed all the yarns herself using plant-based dyes, and then did the whole design. It's absolutely stunning. Come and see it in Textile Week. It's amazing. So I think it's going to be a really exciting programme of stuff, and the ability that the British Museum believes that we can do a good enough job to be able to share their resources with us is such a big badge of approval. It's really
fantastic.
Nice. Yeah. And as we go forward, a key part of everything that we do with funders now, when we're starting to ask for some really big sums of money, is actually proving the quality of the work that we do. And one of those things, like I said, is being able to say, our local authorities support us. The other one is going, look at who we're partnering. You know, we're partnering with British Museum, 2028-29, we're partnering with Royal Palaces. We should have said that out loud, but we are. So we're going to be on the TV really soon, in quite a significant way. Which I'm not telling you about. So they're filming at the moment. But there's lots of exciting things happening. And again, all of that helps with the tourism factor as well. Absolutely. It sort of brings people, it makes them aware about this fantastic heritage and about silk making in Macclesfield, and it drives that curiosity to people to come over.
Thank you.
Thank you. Did you want to speak there?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for the report. I'm very keen on your accessibility for the youngsters and all the way to older people. If you want someone to talk to about access, I'm more than happy to introduce you to some of my residents at Harry Lawson Court. I have a regular monthly meeting with them. I'm sure they'd love to meet you too.
Oh, good. Okay, let's have that chat.
Yeah, I'm really, really pleased that we're actually getting somewhere. I can see it's on the cusp of something bright and new here in Macclesfield with the new combined authority, with regional connectivity, and even with the bid to hopefully we can do marketed a bit better.
Absolutely, I
We
think that's
all
a
know.
really strong offer, and I'm really excited by the potential of the bid offer, I think.
Yeah, brilliant, thank you.
Any other comments or questions? No, in that case, we can let you go, finally. Thank you very much for holding on as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I will bring us now to item 9.4, which is obviously the CCTV. We haven't got anyone here in attendance, but we do have a report. I don't know if anyone wants to comment on the report from CCTV at all.
Lots of comments about it. That's good. Is that, that's about it.
Yeah. Anything else on CCTV, or we can move on? No? Okay, cool. And then finally, for item 9, we have the report from the library/visitor information centre. Do we have anything on the report for that? No? Okay, cool. In that case, I'll move on to item number 10, which is the governance review. Go on, Laura. We do have to go back, don't we? Okay, we'll go back to item number 4. To approve the minutes of the previous full council meeting, which was on the 18th of May. Do we have a proposer and a seconder?
Yeah, I'll propose.
Go on, I'll give Emma that one. All those in favour? Thank you very much. Any matters arising from those minutes? No. Then item number 6, planning committee. So we've got to note the minutes of the last planning committee meeting on the 11th of March. So are we all happy to note them?
Yeah.
Lovely. Any matters arising? Go on. I know what you're going to say, but go on.
Yes, we just we are struggling to make those meetings called, which is a little bit depressing really. We're not able to offer our opinions on behalf of the Macclesfield residents. I have appealed many times, and I fully understand why some people can't commit to that, because especially if you're Cheshire East Councillor, and you just can't come on to that committee. But we really should be serving the people of Macclesfield a bit better on that committee. Think very carefully, maybe in the next term, about how that is, how we get councillors onto that committee, and when we meet at the time of day and all those kinds of things.
Thank you, Councillor Hutchison. Item number 7.
Sorry, could
Go
I
on.
just point out, Mike, Fiona and I are chair and vice chair of Northern Planning now, and Brian and I are on strategic planning. Are you on strategic planning?
No,
Yeah.
but Councillor Bennett Wake is on Northern Planning as well.
Yeah, just to say, if we can help in any way with the planning, we're glad to. We can't actually sit on it at all.
No.
No, I didn't make that comment that you couldn't sit on it. But it's the situation, isn't it, when we have people who are both town councillors and police councillors, then that's always going to arise. Maybe something to think about in the future, whether you should be a town councillor if you're a Cheshire East councillor. But it's about getting the volunteers, isn't it, to step forward and represent the town.
Thank you.
Just a final thing is that it's a massive value as well, having people who are Cheshire East councillors to bring that wisdom of those meetings to us, which is a double-edged sword.
Thank you, Councillor Hutchison. I'll move on to the Finance Committee minutes. So are we happy to note the minutes from the meetings on the 20th of April and 22nd of June?
Yeah.
Yeah. And any matters arising? No. And then just to approve the spend date of 220,854, do we have a proposer and a seconder?
I'll propose that, yeah.
I'll go for you, Councillor Wilson and then Councillor Wilcock. All those in favour? Brilliant, that's unanimous. And finally, Services Committee, are we happy to note the minutes from the last meeting?
Yeah, noted.
Councillor Wilcock.
Again, just to make a remark, apologies that there were only one committee meeting for the 2nd of March. The following two have been postponed due to not being core. I think that was people not being available. So hopefully we meet in September going forward.
Thank you, Councillor Wilcock. I will now bring us on to the governance review. So item 10.1 is the sponsorship policy. Does any of the officers want to give an intro, or are we happy to just proceed? No? Okay. Does anyone have any comments on the sponsorship policy? Councillor Bennett-Wake?
Has anyone come forward for sponsorship?
Yeah, so last year we had Costa Coffee wanted to sponsor something, and that kind of got us thinking about the pitfalls, who we would let sponsor, who might not want any company to sponsor. So they ended up sponsoring one of the free bus days, and since then we've been in the background sort of writing what we think could be an offer for, and it could be quite ranging. It might be something that's smaller, independent. It might be something around, like we sometimes have board on Christmas tree, so it might be something we could offer independent. They could have a board around the Christmas tree for that whole period, through to the free buses, that kind of thing. So it just keeps it that if anybody wants to, there's something there. And now that we've got our new events manager, which who's here tonight, it will be something that, because Jenna's come from a background of more sponsorship than us, that she can use as well.
Excellent, thank you.
Fantastic.
Hope you're listening.
Can I suggest we take both 10.1 and 10.2 together? So does anybody have any comments on the Equality Impact Assessment report? No. In that case, can I have a proposer and a seconder for the two together? Councillor Bennett-Wake, Councillor Gilman, all those in favour of approving the reports? Thank you very much, that's unanimous. Item number 11, Cheshire East Council local service delivery. So we've got another report to consider the recommendations in. Do we have any comments on item 11? No? Okie dokie. In that case, go on, Councillor Wilson.
Yeah, I mean, this is a recent initiative from Cheshire East Council to try to work harder and better to assist in transferring the selected services and assets to town and parish councils. In terms of the experience we've had with South Park Pavilion, this couldn't be more timely. And I just wanted to thank the clerk for raising our feedback, and particularly the hybrid delivery model, which I think is something that Cheshire East Council really will need to think about, because you know, we've had so many issues over the South Park Pavilion, and getting that brought forward in terms of not having a phased delivery. So I think that is going to be really key going forward. In terms of the recommendations on the final page of the report, I'm happy to move those recommendations, Chair, and hope that this is going to be the positive thing that it looks like it might well be. Particularly encouraged that our clerk is on that task and finish group, particularly bearing in mind the contribution that Macclesfield Town Council has already made and continues to make to supporting the work of Cheshire East Council.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson. Councillor Wilson's made a proposal that we accept the recommendations. Does anybody else want to comment or second it? Councillor Bennett-Wake.
I'll second it and just say how pleased I am that the town clerk is now having more effective conversations.
Yes.
Start of the
I
conversation.
think what was really interesting was that I think sometimes things are really quite binary, and it's like, this is our asset, we take it. And when I said this last time, but when we talk about what we do well, it's when we work together. It really is in the parks. It's like we're having a showstopper put in. That's when it works, when we've worked with the indoor market to have the toilets put in. And so it makes sense to try that on a bigger scale. really. And then, you know, once we've got a park hub built, we can fight over who owns it then. Let's just get it built now together, you know. And the community centre, I think that we can work together in terms of we need space, we want this community centre to be open for the community. Okay, it might, you know, we might have to put some staff hours in, but actually what we'll get back from that, and what our community will get back from that is probably worth it. So I think working in this way, and I know that the person I spoke to, which was Dan Coyne, was like, could we do that? And I was like, yeah, let's try. So fingers crossed. Yeah.
We need more cooperation and more places to meet for the community.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much. Do we have any other comments before we move to the vote? No. In that case, all those in favour of approving the recommendations in the report? That's unanimous. Thank you very much. So we've got item 12, which is Christmas lights. That's just to note the report. Does anyone have any comments on the Christmas lights report?
Just a heavy sigh.
I'm
only going to say off here, yeah.
No, you do.
It's frustrating, isn't it? Have we missed a trick here? Have Cheshire East messed up with the replacements of the lights? And
We don't miss tricks. Helena's been on this for...
Yeah, so these issues have been ongoing since 2024. We had issues with the supply, the lights were tripping out, things like that. So 2025 we started lots of site visits with Cheshire East and also with our contractors, and it turned out that one of the issues, and this wasn't how it started, but the new lighting that was installed as part of the Map on Foot project, they're all contained units, so we can no longer use that supply. So we cobbled a supply together with Cheshire East for Christmas 2025, with the idea that this year we would get our own dedicated feeder pillars. But to do that, we had to have the lighting design from Ringway Jacobs, which we've done. We've got that now. They sent that to us before, ahead of schedule. They did send that. But now we await the quote for the actual work. So they have said to us, you could get, this is reluctantly, they sort of said you could get your own contractor to do it. We don't recommend that because that's going to cause us different problems. Because we need to, it needs to be something we work together on. I think the best to wait. We will have a display this year because we've got the supplies we put in place last year. Longer term, this is something that we need to secure for the future of our festive lighting.
The problem is they are now saying, after last year saying your contractors can't touch anything, they're now going, oh, your contractors can. And we don't know what the approved supplier is, how that will work. We can guarantee if something went wrong. Our contractor does not want to do it. So we feel the best thing is to wait. And this is something Helen started before Christmas last year. Gone. So this was something we hoped we would be bringing to say it's going to be £20,000 for our own supply. You'd approve it, then it'll be put in. Unfortunately, that's not the case.
Thank you.
But
And
just an open,
yes,
in case we don't have Christmas lights.
that's not. Let's hope that that's not the case. Ayla?
Does that mean that it is not yet resolved for this Christmas? Not yet resolved?
Like Helena said, we will have Christmas lights, but we won't have our own supply, so it will always be a little bit unsure. So until we've got our own dedicated supply, then we've got more control what we choose, what we to put up. So there will be Christmas lights by hook or by crook, basically.
We've got a temporary solution, but for longer term, we need something more substantial.
Can I ask the clerk, Mr Mayor, if that's something you could discuss at that task and finish group, because it's still an access.
I can bring it up, I definitely can.
Maybe if we try and negotiate on that, help where we're building a relationship, that would be...
Yeah. I mean, what it really needs is just highway to do it. I will bring it up and I'll let you know what they say.
Thank you. In that case, are we all happy to note the report? Fantastic. I'll move on then to item 13, which is parks and play areas. Town Clerk, do you want to say anything on the report?
Just very briefly, that we were given a list of what suggestions were that Cheshire East had suggested would be good for the parks. We had £110,000 in the budget. I know that the park on Herdsfield was having a bit of ASB, so we sort of decided we'll leave that till that, and that is being hopefully sorted. And the council on Southwold went and looked at Linear Park, the Yellow Brick Road, and came back with their suggestions, and this is kind of a negotiation with Cheshire East, so probably the Southwold Council will be people to.
Do you want to go first, or?
I'm just going to touch upon wildflowers.
Go on then.
So, well, I mean, broadly, we've on the Linear Park, we've I think we've trimmed back quite a fair wedge of what the original proposal had been. We didn't see value in money in several of the proposals from Cheshire East. I think we're content with what's come through now, what's been trimmed back, still be very effective, and will deliver for a fairly well used area. We just need to touch it up, I think. The one point outstanding with me is I still think £30,000 for a wildflower meadow planting is outrageous, and I'm happy to put any calls with Cheshire East to understand why plants they should grow for free in the wild. It costs £30,000 to put them in a pretty small area, but of what? So that's what I can on Linear Park.
Thank you, Councillor Hale. Councillor Wilson.
Yes, I'm also confused about this concept of seed density, but moving swiftly on. Both myself and Councillor Hale have been to have a look at all of this, and it's great that a package has been put together, but the Yellow Brick Road is not a destination location like South Park or West Park or any of the other parks we have. The dwell time in the Linear Park is not massive. People are walking through there, they're coming home from school, college, they're walking between the various different, the sort of Park Lane, Congleton Road Junction where the pub is. So I've learned through my experience as a councillor that if you put seating areas or congregation areas close to people's houses, it will cause a nuisance. During the COVID times and knocking on doors, talking to people, before COVID times, knocking on doors, talking to people, we had a request to put a bench in Thornton Square for people who were going to the shops could rest before walking home again. It was a very common ask. And we put that bench in, but come COVID times, because people were sitting on there and eating their crisps too loudly, it was causing disruption for local neighbours. So, I mean, some of the items in here I think are massively overpriced. I wasn't initially very keen on having an ecology survey, but when I looked at it more carefully, there is a proposal that that would involve students at the college, and I'm always particularly keen to hear the views of younger people. In terms of the gym equipment and trails and things, we've got two lots of gym equipment in South Park in Macclesfield, and I've never once seen anybody using it. I've seen people having their dogs jump over it, like a sort of dog sort of gym, but I've never actually seen anybody using it. So the Yellow Brick Road is a really important path that people can walk around and through the moss to different parts of the moss, to the football, to all of the locations, to get where they want to get to without traffic fumes being all over them. The entrance between the park and Moss Lane has been, over the years, I think it's just faded away. I think the entrance in there so long it's just gradually just disintegrated, and that needs to be improved. But we've gone and we've done our research, and we've gone and done our site visits, and we've made our comments, and so we are recommending the recommendations contained in the pack, to approve the changes to South Park play areas as detailed, to consider the proposed improvements. It was Councillor Hale's brilliant idea that the willow art, probably not the right word, but the willow the Willow Archway seating area should have the theme of the Yellow Brick Road. So I'm very much looking forward to Cowardly Lions and all sorts of other things popping up. But I move the recommendations on the final page of this report, and that we have a phased delivery, and that we focus on it being a nice walk-through area, improved to give people a chance to enjoy that while they go about there getting from one place to the other, but we don't create a destination here. It is not a destination park.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson. You put a proposal forward there. Do we have a seconder?
Part of the proposal is to put an amount in, because it was 40 to 60, based on the wildflower thing.
Well, I would just say up to 60,000 and no more, and let's come back to council. I share Councillor Hale's view about the cost of the wildflowering. I wonder what our rangers spend on doing their own wildflowering. I don't think they spend anywhere near that.
Thank you. Councillor Hale has seconded it. Do we have any other comments or anything before we move to a vote? No? Okay. In that case, can we vote on the recommendations in the report? So all those in favour of approving them? That is unanimous. Thank you very much. So next is item 14, which is antisocial behaviour report at Churchside. Do you want to introduce that, Laura? Or do you want me to? Okay. Yeah, so myself and the town clerk have recently been undertaking a bit of an exercise around the Churchside area, where we all know there's quite a few issues that are being reported regularly by residents around antisocial behaviour. So we had a very productive multi-agency meeting at the end of last month, where we had the police, CCTV, residents and ward councillors. So we've set up a little task force, could you say, effectively, where we're going to continue looking into the issues. A lot of concerns have been raised around the lodge, which is located on Churchside, drug use, out of town people coming in, so lots of different issues, and we really want to try and find some solutions to make people's lives better. We have residents telling us that they genuinely are too scared to leave their home, so when it's dark and there's issues, they actually coordinate between them via WhatsApp when they can leave their own homes, which is just not acceptable at all. So personally, I was actually quite disappointed to not have the police here tonight, because I would have liked to ask some questions on that, because I thought their responses were actually not very well received at the meeting. They were a bit dismissive, I thought, and a lot of the residents fed back that they were quite disappointed. So it would be good for us to continue banging the drum on that, because I don't think the police took it as seriously as we would have liked. But yeah, the report outlines a lot of the concerns we've got. I don't know if anyone has any comments that they want to make or questions.
When you refer to the lodge,
Yes.
is that where the pillars are, just round the corner?
So the lodge is, it's just a bit further up Churchside, and it's basically like, it's sort of like an Airbnb kind of thing, isn't it? It's like a hostel, which is...
Yeah, the old boys club.
Yeah, and it's like advertised on booking.com, places like that, and there's regularly police call-outs to drug use, smash windows, lots of quite serious issues. So there's been a lot of concerns raised about that. It's also up for sale now, isn't it?
Seen it on that,
So there's quite a few issues that we think are centred around that, which we hope the antisocial behaviour team at Cheshire East is going to take a bit further, and the enforcement team as well. Go on, Sarah.
I'm also, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm also disappointed the police didn't come tonight, because I had a few questions. Similar type of activity on Haresfield, which has died down a bit since we've got a new named police officer on a permanent basis after several strongly worded emails. But I think really it's important to say to the public that you don't have to live like that. You just keep reporting it and reporting it and reporting it to the police. Get in touch with your local councillor, and things can change, because Macclesfield is a lovely place to live, and you know, we can't let a minority of wrongdoers, if you like, for want of a better phrase, spoil it for everyone else. So I hope that the police do turn up to our next meeting.
And we've got a meeting, I think it's a week today, isn't it? Where we're going to have the police, some of the residents come to our town council office to have a further follow-up. Because one of the things that they keep saying is they're reporting it to the police and the police doing nothing about it. So it'd be good to get everyone face to face and actually have that meeting, I think, so that everyone can have a bit of a conversation. So the recommendation is to note the ongoing concerns. Are we all happy to note the report and the issues we've got? Brilliant, thank you very much. Item 16 is the buses report. We can take it as read, I think. But go on.
Okay, so this basically, Abby has been working on this and we've had a recent development. So we had an agreement that we would have free bus days and then cost a certain amount. It now turns out that because Cheshire East have got the idea as well, that they want everybody to have the same terms that Cheshire East have, because it would be confusing to have a Mactown Council bus day and a Cheshire East bus day with different buses on different days. So basically it does mean that they're going to increase the price of our bus days. However, there is a lot more buses included, which was part of the issue we had initially, that they didn't include lots of buses. So there is a lot more buses included. Things like, we had bus 10, 19, 19A, 14 and 14A is what we had. We're now looking at 3, this is in addition, 3, 38, 87, 88, 130, 150, 60 and 60A, 391 and 109. So quite a significant amount of extra buses have been added. So there is an increased price now. There's no option. We either have the free bus days this way or we don't have them. Basically, we can't keep what we've had. And I will put this all in writing because I know there's a lot to take on, but I think if we could just agree for do something summer, then I can bring it back to services for everyone and we get a chance to see it. But it means we would pay an extra £2,460 for the 6 weeks of do something summer, with significantly more buses on that route. So it is actually good value for money to have all those extra buses on, and we have advertised already that we'll be getting the free buses. We will save that amount of money because we'll be getting 4 buses potentially free that we would have paid for. That's why it's all sort of difficult to verbalise for you. So if we just maybe do the summer ones, then after that I'll put it so you've got it in writing and I'll give it to you writing straight away. So I suppose the amendment would be, could we agree if we do something summer that would be an extra cost of no more than 2,500 just to keep it approximate for those 6 weeks, and there would be a significant amount more buses.
Thank you. Well, I'm happy to propose that if we're all happy. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Gilman. All those in favour then of approving that? Yeah, go ahead.
Are there not children travelling free in August anyway on the buses?
No, oh, if there is, there's an initiative I know of.
No.
Told us.
No one's told us.
No. Okay. Okay, in that case, are we...
Just a question on the in the report. So we've suggested to Cheshire's Council that we're using the free bus days for Remembrance Sunday. Now,
yes.
As far as I'm aware, there's not that many buses that run.
There aren't many, but there are some. So out of those, so the ones that we did have originally, none of those were Sunday services. The new numbers that have been added do contain Sunday services and will benefit the people who want to come to Remembrance in Macclesfield.
But that's why I think if we just agree the summer bit and then I put the rest in writing, we can really, because we've already advertised the free buses to do something summer.
And
go up.
I think the summer bit is really important. I mean, last year as mayor at Do Something Summer, the number of people we had with conversation with people who said
Thank you so much for putting on free events, and thank you so much for putting on free bus travel, because we wouldn't be here if you didn't, and my children, 6 weeks is a very long time, so I think £2,500 is, you know, it's a no-brainer. And then look at the kind of
And then, this
the
is
bigger
just
picture.
information come through afterwards.
Thank you. So,
Sarah's right about the kids, so we want to make sure we're not.
Yeah. Is it the adults with the kids though? Is it
No.
just the kids?
It's the children, so I don't know why they put no.
We can go back again, but I think if we agree that up to that,
Yeah.
and we'll go back and look.
Haggle over it, please. Sorry, Mr Mayor.
that's all right. So just to be absolutely clear, we are approving up to 2,460 for Do Something Summer.
Yes.
Okay. So we have a proposer and a seconder. Are we all happy to vote? Cool. So all those in favour of that proposal? Thank you very much. That's unanimous.
Can I just add some information? But
Yes.
I think this can come back. I have got the Cheshire East Bus Partnership note here that says free bus travel is funded by CEC through its allocation of government funding for supporting bus services. This initiative is a standalone scheme which will operate independently and with no connection to the government's recently announced national summer bus retail offer. Have you seen that?
I may have.
Okay.
We'll go back, because Abby's kind of the lead on this, so we'll go back and check it.
Thank you.
Wednesdays was always the busiest day. It was always the most, because I thought weekends would be more expensive, but Wednesdays was always the most expensive day.
But on balance, if we're going to get free travel on Sunday, and the bus you're talking about, one of those is a 38, and that is the one that comes in like from sort of Goresworth, Mac through past the Flower Pod, etc. That is it's a swings and roundabouts thing. This, yeah.
It is, and I think when you factor in we're getting 4 extra days than we would have had, and we've got quite a lot in the earmark reserves for this project. This amount for this summer period, because we have advertised it. People have got used to it as well, and we get lots of emails coming up to events and the bus is free. We get it even when there's no events, are they free this weekend? So, you know, it definitely makes a difference. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, amazing.
Thank you. So we'll come to the final item on the agenda, which is the Town of Culture report. Do you want to talk about that, Lauren?
Just to say that, you know, there was nearly £400, and I think pulling it together in the way we did, I think Matt did really, really well, and I'll move to Councillor Wilson, but there is some exciting projects coming up.
Yeah, so first of all, it is indeed disappointing that Macclesfield was not selected for the shortlist for the Town of Culture, but out of 398 bids to get through to the last 15 was always going to be a big ask. I think the really key thing about the Town of Culture is this is not the last opportunity for us to put our hat in the ring for the Town of Culture. We can work towards you know, the next time we have the chance to apply, we can work towards improving our, maybe just the way we talk about Macclesfield. Those of you that were able to attend the Macclesfield Culture Collective launch that took place, actually I can't remember when it was now, there's so many things going on, but we're at the Bollington Brewery place. There was loads of people there that we'd never met before who came along to talk to us about what they were doing, and it was a really, really exciting occasion to bring together all those people involved in culture. And actually one of the interesting things when we put the bid together was actually defining what culture is, because culture includes all different sorts of things. So I'm on the board of the KIC of Macclesfield Culture Collective in my town centre regeneration capacity, and that KIC will continue, and it will continue to work towards future bids and also future cultural activities. There is an exciting new project that Laura is the town clerk refers to in her paper, which is being supported by funding from Macclesfield Town Council, but I think it's possibly going to be launched next week. So I'm going to make you wait to hear what that's all going to be about. But this is just the beginning for Macclesfield in terms of our bid to be Town of Culture. Even the bid process and thinking what that looked like and working through that and meeting lots of new people has enhanced our activities in this area, and I think it will continue to do so.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson. Do you have any comments?
I think we've got to record our thanks to Tom and the collective for all the work they did.
Which I've noted. Thank you very much. Anything else? No? Go on, Emma.
Sorry. Well, I've been debating about whether to say this or not. I just want to go back to what Mike was saying before about planning. There's 12 councillors here. 5 of us are Cheshire East Council councillors as well. I don't think the onus is on us 5 to not stand as Cheshire East councillors as well as Macclesfield Town councillors. I think there are enough other councillors to make planning chorus and have enough people on it. Just wanted to make that point.
Thank you, Sarah. Not Sarah. It's no longer.
Yeah, it's those things.
Right. In that case, I'll bring the meeting to a close with the date and time and place the next meeting, which is the 21st of September here at Town Hall. And that's that. So thank you, everyone.